Well, after 1915, Gandhi and the mass movement history mains question paper. We're going to take a look at all the questions from 2014 to 2021 in a reverse order, of course. Here the first question, and here it goes. Which British viceroy was steadfastly opposed the notion of the partition of India? Salmon Commission or Shimla Conference 1945, in which it is being opposed. The Shimla Conference where this that partition was opposed. So who was the viceroy? Wovell was the one. So which British viceroy was steadfastly opposed the notion of the partition of India? Wovell, Shimla Conference. He kind of wanted not to partition India. Moving on to the next question, who was not among the participants of the first Roundtable Conference? All of them participated in the first Roundtable Conference. Tej Bahadur Sapru, Baldev Singh and Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Baldev Singh, Tej Bahadur Sapru and Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Baldev Singh, Tej Bahadur Sapru, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. All of them participated in the first Roundtable Conference. Which party fought 1937 election in Bengal with the agenda of the land reform? Krishak Praja Party. A.K. Fazlul Haq was the founder of the Krishak Praja Party. The Krishak Praja Party, A.K. Fazlul Haq, he was this party, the Krishak Praja Party in Bengal fought, that is to say, the Krishak Praja Party fought the 1937 election in Bengal with the agenda of land reform. Krishak Praja Party fought the 1937 election in Bengal with the agenda of land reform. Air India was founded in 1932 and nationalized in 1953. Air India was founded in 1932. Air India founded in 1932 and nationalized in 1953. Air India founded in 1932 and nationalized in 1953. Moving on next, which prominent Indian nationalist leader found Gandhi's definition of Swaraj in 1921 Ahmedabad session of INC delightfully vague? Nehru found the kind of Gandhi's ideas of Swaraj delightfully vague. Ahmedabad session of INC. In Ahmedabad session of INC, Gandhi said he shared certain ideas about the Swaraj that Gandhi had in his mind, and Nehru in response says that this ideas that Gandhi shared was delightfully vague. So Nehru said that the Ahmedabad session ideas of Swaraj of Gandhi of 1921 was delightfully vague. This was said by Nehru in response to Gandhi's definition of Swaraj in 1921 session, Ahmedabad session of INC, and Nehru said that these ideas of Gandhi was delightfully vague. The demand for home rule raised by Indian politicians were concerned by what? Was conceded. The demand of the home rule raised by the Indian politician were conceded by Government of India Act of 1935. Provincial autonomy. This was granted. That is to say, Government of India Act 1935 demand for home rule, that is provincial autonomy, raised by the Indian politicians were conceded by Government of India Act of 1935. Moving on to the next question, whom of the following was the votary of the no-changer position of the INC in 1922? Gandhi was the no-changer position. Gandhi held the no-changer position. On the other hand, C.R. Das, Motilal Nehru, Madan Mohan Malaviya, they are pro-changers. They were pro-changers and Gandhi was no-changer. So who are the pro-changers? Motilal Nehru, C.R. Das and Madan Mohan Malaviya. They formed Swaraj Party afterwards, of course. We know that they're pro-changers. They wanted to rake the government from within, enter the legislature and rake the government from within, make or break or some sort of idea that they have. So pro-changers were C.R. Das, Motilal Nehru and Madan Mohan Malaviya, and Gandhi hold the position of no-changers. That is to say, Gandhi was the votary of no-changer position in the INC of 1922. Moving on to the next question, which of the following was not a paper published by Gandhi? So Gandhi published all these papers: Harijan, Young India and Indian Opinion. So Indian Opinion, Young India and Harijan. So Indian Opinion, Young India and Harijan. Young India, Indian Opinion and Harijan. All of these are published by Gandhi. Moving on, why was the Simon Commission appointed in 1927? The reason for which Simon Commission was formed was to evaluate as previously ordained under the Montfort Act on Indian performance under the hierarchy and the fitness for self-government. So basically, what was the reason why Simon Commission was appointed? The reason for that was to evaluate as previously ordained under Montfort Act. That is to say, to evaluate as previously ordained under Montfort Act on India's performance under the hierarchy and fitness for self-government. Hierarchy and fitness for self-government. That is to say, to evaluate as previously ordained under Montfort Act on Indian performance under hierarchy and the fitness for self-government moving forward. So that was the reason why, whether India can be self-governed, etc. Simon Commission was appointed in 1927, and that was the purpose. In which year was the All India Trade Union Congress established? All India Trade Union Congress was established in 1920. Moving on to the next question, in which year were the Odisha separated from Bihar? Odisha separated from Bihar in 1936. Odisha was separated from Bihar. Odisha separated from Bihar in 1936. 1936, Odisha separated from Bihar. Odisha separated from Bihar in 1936. Moving on to the next question. In the All-Party Conference, who was the staunch advocate of separate electorate in 1928? Separate electorate All-Party Conference took place in where all the parties were there present, and Jinnah hold the position of he was advocate for separate electorate. He was a staunch advocate for separate electorate. In All-Party Conference, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, 1928, he was a staunch advocate for separate electorates. Muhammad Ali Jinnah was a staunch advocate for separate electorates, etc. In 1919, who voted against INC participation in the Khilafat movement? Muhammad Ali Jinnah and Madan Mohan Malaviya, both of them, they voted against INC's participation in the Khilafat movement. So both MM Malaviya, Madan Mohan Malaviya and Muhammad Ali Jinnah voted in 1919. They voted against INC participation in the Khilafat movement. Both Muhammad Ali Jinnah and Madan Mohan Malaviya in 1919 voted against the INC participation in the Khilafat movement. Both Muhammad Ali Jinnah and Madan Mohan Malaviya in 1919 voted against INC participation in the Khilafat movement. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following was not associated with the Lucknow Pact of 1916 actually? Lucknow Pact, which is not. So this is not. Return of the extremists to the INC fold, that was not. But which of the following is not? But what are the pact? Which of the following was associated with the Lucknow Pact 1916? These are the kind of conditions. That is that INC accepts of the principle of separate electorate. INC accepts the principle of separate electorate. That is one INC did. Then INC league demand for elected majority members elected in all legislative bodies. That is to say, INC league demand for elected majority members elected in all legislative bodies. That is, INC league demand for elected majority members elected in all legislative body. That is also granted. Then league undertook to struggle against colonial rule. League also undertook to struggle against colonial rule. So these are INC accepted the principle of separate electorate. Then INC league demand for elected majority members elected in all legislative bodies, and then league undertook to struggle against the colonial rule. All of this. The foundation of which university was associated with the Khilafat movement? Khilafat movement, Jamia Millia Islamia University. Khilafat movement, at that point, this university was established. Jamia Millia Islamia University. Jamia Millia. The foundation of Jamia Millia University was associated with the Khilafat agitation. The foundation of the Jamia Millia Islamia University was associated with Khilafat agitation. Who suggested in 1922 that the Congress should try to wreck the provincial council from within? All of this, that is to say, C.R. Das, Madan Mohan Malaviya and Motilal Nehru. These are pro-changers. Who suggested? That is to say, these three, Motilal Nehru, C.R. Das and Madan Mohan Malaviya, they suggested that the Congress should try to wreck the provincial council from within. The Madan Mohan Malaviya, C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru, they suggested that in 1922 the Congress should try to wreck the provincial council from within. That is fine. Who believed that the decision to boycott British educational institution during the non-cooperation movement to be Gandhi's tyranny over the mind of the people? Who, like Tagore is the one, Rabindranath Tagore, he said that, Rabindranath Tagore said that the British education institution during, that is British educational institution during the non-cooperation movement to be Gandhi's tyranny over the mind of the people. That is, like during non-cooperation movement, Tagore believed that to boycott British educational institution, to boycott, that is to say forcing them or the students or everyone to boycott British educational institution during non-cooperation movement to be Gandhi's tyranny over the mind of the people. Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore says that to boycott British educational institution during non-cooperation movement to be Gandhi's tyranny over the mind of the people. Tagore said that, Rabindranath Tagore. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following introduced a direct election of the Viceroy's Legislative Council? Which of the following act? Government of India Act of 1919. Government of India Act of 1919. Government of India Act of 1919 introduced direct elections for the Viceroy's Legislative Council. Government of India Act of 1919 introduced direct elections for the Viceroy's Legislative Council. Government of India Act of 1919 introduced direct elections for the Viceroy's Legislative Council. Government of India Act of 1919 introduced direct elections for the Viceroy's Legislative Council. Moving on. Who among the following was the president of INC during the launch of the Quit India movement? Maulana Azad. Who among the following was the viceroy? Who among the following was the viceroy? Who among the following was the president actually of the INC during the launch of Quit India movement? Maulana Azad. Maulana Azad was the president of INC. Maulana Azad was the president of INC during Quit India movement 1942. Maulana Azad was the president of INC during the launch of the Quit India movement. Maulana Azad was the president of INC during the launch of the Quit India movement. Maulana Azad was the president of INC during the launch of Quit India movement. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following was the only ministry made over for Indian members of the Imperial Legislative Council under Montfort Act? None. Under Montfort Act, none of this made. Defense, Home, Agriculture, none. So, that is the thing. Which of the following is not true about the difference between the non-cooperation and the civil disobedience movement? Punjab, which of the following is not true? Punjab was in the forefront of both the movement. No, Punjab was there nowhere in those two movements. That is wrong. So, which of the following is true actually about the difference between the non-cooperation and civil disobedience movement? Khilafat was movement overwhelmingly urban, that is to say non-cooperation movement and civil non-cooperation movement. Khilafat movement was overwhelmingly urban in character, but a civil disobedience was rural movement. So Khilafat movement was overwhelmingly urban in its character, but civil disobedience movement was rural. Considerable working class activity was seen in the first but not in the latter. That is to say, in the case of Khilafat movement, activity in the first but not in the second. That is to say, in the case of Khilafat movement, working class were involved, considerable working class activities were seen, but in the case of the civil disobedience, working class movement was not so much. So that is pretty much what it is. Then in which session of the Congress was the movement provided with a peasant agenda? So which session of the Congress, that is to say in which session of the Congress was the movement provided for the peasant agenda? So peasant agenda was provided in Faizpur session 1936. In Faizpur session 1936, where the agenda of the peasant agenda were taken up. So in the Faizpur session of the Indian National Congress, peasants agenda of the peasants were taken up. Moving on to the next question. Who proposed the strategy of economic planning in the Congress for the first time? Economic planning for the first time, who proposed this idea? Subhash Chandra Bose. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose proposed the idea of economic planning for the first time. Moving on, who favored strategy of general electorate with seats reserved for the Muslims? General electorate with seats reserved for the Muslim, that is Jinnah. Jinnah was of the opinion that general election, let the election be general for everyone, and then in that or within that election there has to have seats, proportional seats reserved for the Muslim community. So August 1928 Nehru report, this was accepted ultimately, or this was kind of let's just say taken up. Who favored the strategy of a general electorate with seats reserved for Muslims? Jinnah favored the strategy of general electorate. Jinnah favored the strategy of a general electorate with seats reserved for the Muslims. Jinnah. Moving on to the next question. What was the reason for Congress acceptance of Iran's offer to attend the second round 12 conference? All of this. Gandhi accepted. What was the reason? What was the reason for Congress's acceptance of Arvind's offer to attend second round 12 conference? What was the reason for Congress accepted? So any talk on the devolution of power was useless without Congress's participation. What was the reason? Well, any talk without the participation of Congress was useless. Congress's support among the industrial and mercantile lobby advised an end to the mass movement. So basically, Congress's support among the industrial and the mercantile lobby advised an end to the mass movement. Congress's support among the industrials and mercantile lobby advises an end for the movement. British policy of repression was having its toll on the peasant participating in the movement. So British policy of repression was having a toll on the peasants participating in the movement. So basically, reason for Congress's acceptance of Irwin's offer to attend second roundtable conference. Why Congress accepted this Irwin's offer to join the second roundtable conference? This other thing. Any talk on devolution of power was useless without Congress's participation. That is one thing. Then Congress's support among the industrial and mercantile lobby advised an end to the mass movement. Well, this mercantile group, and they said that it's time to end the mass movement. British policy of repression was having its toll on the peasant participating in the movement. All of this. Whom of the following neither moved nor seconded the Lahore Resolution of Muslim League of 1940? None. Actually, all of them, they moved and supported Lahore Resolution. Among the following moved supported Lahore Resolution of Muslim League 1940 was Khizro Khan Hayat, then Muhammad Ali Jinnah and Fazlul Haq, A.K. Fazlul Haq, Khizro Khan Hayat, A.K. Fazlul Haq and Khizro Khan Hayat, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Khizro Khan Hayat, Muhammad Ali Jinnah and Fazlul Haq, all of them, they supported and seconded the Lahore Resolution of Muslim League 1940. 1940 Muslim League, 1940 Lahore Resolution of the Muslim League. Muslim League, the Lahore Resolution which was taken, supported by Khizro Khan Hayat, Muhammad Ali Jinnah and Fazlul Haq, all of them. Moving on to the next question. Which organization was set up in 1927 to represent the interest of the Indian industrialist? FICCI. FICCI, this was established to take care of the interest of the industrialist, FICCI. So FICCI is an organization which was set up in 1927 to represent the interest of the Indian industrialists. So FICCI was an organization which was set up in 1927 to represent the interest of the Indian industrialists. Absolutely fine. Moving on, in which session of the Congress was the movement turned into a mass-based party? In which session of the Congress was the movement turned into a mass-based party? Nagpur session. In the Nagpur session, the movement became a mass-based party. In the Nagpur session. In the Nagpur session of 1920, in Congress's Nagpur session 1920, the movement turned into a mass-based party. In Nagpur session of the Congress, the movement turned into a mass-based party 1920. Then comes who was the founder of the Khudai Khidmatkar 1929. Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan was the founder of Khudai Khidmatkar. Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan was the founder of Khudai Khidmatkar. Which Congress leader favored India's support for the Raj against the Nazi in the Second World War? Actually, Nehru. So Congress leader favored India's support. Nehru, Congress leader, he kind of wanted British government to be supported by Indian troops against the Nazi. So Nehru, Congress leader, favored India's support for the Raj against Nazi in the Second World War. So he supported British instead of Nazi. But Subhash did exactly the opposite. The introduction of the communal electorate was in order to allow legislation for separate communities to be advised by their own members. So basically, allow legislation for separate communities to be advised by their own members. Allow legislation for separate communities to be advised by their own members. Allow legislation for separate communities to be advised their own members. Well, that is communal electorate for us. Moving on to the next question. So Jallianwala massacre took place in the city like Amritsar, 13th April 1919, Amritsar 1919, 13th April 1919. Moving on, what proposal was made in the August offer 1940? Dominion status. August offer, that is Viceroy Linlithgow August offer 1940. Dominion status. What proposal was made in August offer 1940? Dominion status. Dominion status was the offer that was given August offer 1940. Viceroy Linlithgow, go, August offer Linlithgow. Who became the first Chief Justice of India after independence? Harilal J. Kanai. Harilal J. Kanai. Harilal J. Kanai was the one who became the first Chief Justice of India after independence. So Harilal J. Kanai was the first Chief Justice, he became the first Chief Justice of India after independence. Moving on to the next question. Montagu-Chelmsford reform, which formed the base of the Government of India Act of 1919, introduced which of the following in India? Diarchy. Montagu-Chelmsford reform introduced diarchy in the provinces. Montagu-Chelmsford reform introduces, that is to say, Government of India Act of 1919, Montagu-Chelmsford reform, or the Government of India Act of 1919 introduced what diarchy? Moving on to the next question. Who founded the Indian Independence League 1924 in Tokyo? Indian Independence League Tokyo 1924. This was founded by Raj Bihari Bose. Indian Independence League, this was Raj Bihari Bose. Who founded Indian Independence League 1924 in Tokyo? Indian Independence League 1924 Tokyo, Raj Bihari Bose. Who was the first Indian to become the Commander-in-Chief of the Indian Army? K.C. Kariyappan. Who was the first Indian to become the Commander-in-Chief of the Indian Army? First Commander-in-Chief of Indian Army would be K.M. Kariyappan. Who was the first Indian to become the Commander-in-Chief of the Indian Army? K.M. Kariyappan. First Commander-in-Chief of the Indian Army. Moving on to the next question. Khilafat movement was organized by Khilafat movement Ali brothers. That is to say, Shaukat Ali and Maulana, Ali brothers. Shaukat Ali and there is another Ali. In 1919 to 24, Khilafat movement was organized by Ali brothers. These Ali brothers were the one, they organized this Khilafat movement. Who was the founder of the All India Communist Party AICP in 1924? Satya Bhakta, BHKTS, Satya Bhakta, I do not know what's the exact pronunciation. Satya BHKT Bhakta. So Satya Bhakta was the one, who was the founder of the All India Communist Party, AICP. Satya Bhakta is the, in 1924. Satya Bhakta was the founder of Communist Party, All India Communist Party in 1924. Satya Bhakta was the founder of All India Communist Party in 1924. The Constituent Assembly was set up under Cabinet Mission Plan. The Constituent Assembly was set up under Cabinet Mission Plan. The Constituent Assembly was set up under Cabinet Mission Plan. The Constituent Assembly was set up under Cabinet Mission Plan. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following organization was not established by Ambedkar? Ambedkar established a depressed classes institute, then Samaj Samata, SAMT, Samata Sangh, Samaj Samata Sangh, and then People's Education Society. So basically these are organization founded or organization established by Ambedkar. Samaj Shamata or Samata Sangh, Samaj Samata Sangh SSS, Depressed Class Institute, and People's Education Society. People's Education Society, Samaj Samata Sangh, People Education Society, People's Education Society, Samaj Samata Sangh, and Depressed Class Institute, Samaj Samata Sangh, and People's Education Society. This all established by Ambedkar. Moving on to the next question. The Story of My Experience with Truth was originally written in Gujarati. Who translated it into English? Mahadev Desai. Mahadev Desai is the one. He's let's just say a confidant of Gandhi. He did that. So my experience, the Story of My Experience with Truth, Gandhi's book, that is to say autobiography, the Story of My Experience with Truth was originally written in Gujarati language, and this was later translated by Mahadev Desai into English. Tebhaga movement of 1946 is associated with which of the following state? Tebhaga, West Bengal. Tebhaga agitators, 3 1/3 share. So Tebhaga movement 1946, Tebhaga movement 1946, Tebhaga movement 1946. This was associated with West Bengal. Tebhaga movement 1946 associated with which of the following states of India? West Bengal. Moving on, the member of the Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan's Red Shirt movement was known as the Khudai Khidmatgar movement. Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan's Red Shirt movement was known as Khudai Khidmatgar. Moving on to the next question. Apart from Quit India movement, which started on 9th August 1942, sensational. Whatsoever sensational activity of the freedom fighter took place on date 1925, that is Kakori train robbery, etc. Just hold on. So it is written in a very clumsy manner. So the question is something like this. Apart from Quit India movement, which started on 9th August 1942, apart from other that is other sensational activity of the freedom fighter took place on the date of 1925, that is to say on 9th August 1925, another activity took place, that is Kakori train dacoity. So basically Quit India movement 9th August 1942 and Kakori train dacoity, that also took place 9th August 1942. Kakori train dacoity 9th August 1942, and then Quit India movement 9th August 1942. So 9th August 1942 Quit India movement, and then 9th August 1925 was Kakori train dacoity. Hindustan Republican Association was the one involved in Kakori train dacoity 1925. 9th August. These two incidents took place on the same date, that is to say 9th August, but different year of course. Kakori train dacoity 1925, 9th August, and Quit India movement 9th August 1942. Moving on to the next question. The non-cooperation movement was called off due to what? Chori Chora incident. We know that. Then moving on to the next question. The leader of the Home Rule movement borrowed the term Home Rule from the similar movement in Ireland. Isaac Butt, 1870. Isaac Butt, 1780. Isaac Butt, 1780 is the one probably who coined this term or coined these ideas. So the Home Rule movement borrowed, the idea Home Rule was borrowed from Isaac Butt, 1870. Border Home Rule movement. The Cripps mission visited India in 1942. Cripps mission visited India. The Cripps mission visited India 1942. The Cripps mission visited India 1942. Gandhi launched the civil disobedience movement 1930 from 6th April 1930. Dandi to Sabarmati. So Gandhi launched a civil disobedience movement 1930 from Dandi. So Gandhi launched Gandhi launched civil disobedience movement 1930 from 6th April 1930. Gandhi launched civil disobedience movement on 1930 from 6th April 1930. Gandhi launched civil disobedience movement 6th April 1930 from Dandi. Gandhi launched civil disobedience movement from Dandi 6th April 1930. Rani Gaidelu, a rebel leader against the British, was from Manipur. Rani Gaidelu, a rebel leader against the British, was from Manipur. Rani Gaidelu, a rebel leader against the British, was from Manipur. Moving on to the next question. The Young India was edited by Gandhi. Gandhi was the one who edited Young India. This was the Young India was edited by Gandhi. Gandhi edited Young India. Moving on to the next question. The first session of the All India Trade Union Congress 1920 was presided over by Lala Lajpat Rai. The first session of the All India Trade Union Congress presided by Lala Lajpat Rai. What was a solution founded by Ambedkar in later years after independence to end the hardship of the scheduled caste people? That is to say, embracing Buddhism. So basically, Ambedkar, he did that. So Ambedkar found the solution, the solution of the embracing of Buddhism was the solution found by Ambedkar in the later years after independence to end the hardship of the scheduled caste people. So embracing the Buddhism was the solution found by Ambedkar in later years for independence to end the hardship of the scheduled caste people. Moving on, the Hindustan Socialist Republican Association movement ended with the death of Chandrasekhar Azad. The Hindustan Socialist Republican Association movement ended with the death of Chandrasekhar Azad. The Congress gave up its ideas of the United India and accepted partition because of the Congress leader felt that the partition was a lesser evil than the civil war. So the Congress gave up the ideas of United India and accepted partition because, of course, the Congress leader felt that the partition was a lesser evil than the civil war. Moving on next, the Congress declared to raise the Swaraj Fund of 1 crore rupees for memorial of Bal Gangadhar Tilak. So the Congress decided to raise a Swaraj Fund of 1 crore rupees for memorial of Bal Gangadhar Tilak. The Congress decided to raise a Swaraj Fund of 1 crore rupees for memorial of Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Congress decided to raise Swaraj Fund of 1 crore rupees for the memorial of Bal Gangadhar Tilak. The historical Lucknow session of 1916 was presided over by Ambika Charan Mazumdar. The historical Lucknow session of the Congress 1916 was presided over by Ambika Charan Mazumdar. The historical Lucknow session of 1916 was presided over by Ambika Charan Mazumdar. Who killed Michael O'Dyer, the governor of Punjab, who had ordered the brutal firing on the innocent people of Jallianwala massacre? Sardar Udham Singh. Sardar Udham Singh killed Michael O'Dwyer, the governor of Punjab. Moving on to the next question. Michel O'Dwyer or Michael O'Dwyer, whatever. The founder president of the Harijan Sevak Sangh, founded by Gandhi, was the founder president of Harijan Sevak Sangh, founded by Gandhi, was G.D. Birla. So the founder president of Harijan Sevak Sangh, this Harijan Sevak Sangh, this was founded by Gandhi, but president was first time for the president of the founder president was G.D. Birla. So Harijan Sevak Sangh was founded by Gandhi, but the founding president was G.D. Birla. So the Harijan Sevak Sangh was founded by Gandhi, but the founding president was G.D. Birla. Moving on to the next question. The day Gandhi launched the civil non-cooperation movement, a great national leader died. Who was that? Who was that leader? Bal Gangadhar Tilak. So MK Gandhi launched non-cooperation movement, a great national leader died. He was Bal Gangadhar Tilak, 1st August 1920. 1st August 1920, when Gandhi launched a non-cooperation movement, a great nationalist leader died. Bal Gangadhar Tilak was the great national leader. He died on 1st August 1920 when Gandhi launched the non-cooperation movement. Moving on to the next question. A Public Service Commission was established in India for the first time. Public Service Commission, Government of India Act of 1919. The Public Service Commission was established in India for the first time in 1919. Moving on, after the Surat split in 1907, the second split of Congress took place in 1918 over the issue of Montagu Declaration. After the Surat split of 1907, the second split in the Congress took place in 1918 on the issue of Montagu Declaration. The Vaikam Satyagraha was launched in 1924 for opening the temples to the lower class Hindus. The Vaikam Satyagraha was launched in 1924, opening the temples to the lower caste Hindus. That was the reason Vaikam Satyagraha was launched. Vaikam Satyagraha was launched in 1924 for the opening the temples to the lower caste Hindus. Moving on, which of the following acted as the president of Indian National Congress for 6 consecutive years? Abdul Kalam Azad. So which of the following, or who among the following? So Abdul Kalam Azad acted as president of Indian National Congress for consecutive 6 years. So Abdul Kalam Azad, the president of Indian National Congress, presided over the Indian National Congress for 6 years consecutively. Which of the following revolutionary and terrorist organization had a large number of the young women revolutionaries revolutionized? Indian Republican Army. So Indian Republican Army, that is an organization, have a significant revolutionary and terrorist organization, that is revolutionary organization, had a large number of the young women revolutionaries in them. That is, Indian Republican Army has large number of women participation there. Moving on, the Nehru Committee report got a decent burial at the hands of the Congress at the session of the INC 1929 Lahore session. So basically, Nehru Committee report got a decent burial. Nehru Committee report got a decent burial at the hands of the Congress at which session? At the Lahore session of the INC 1929. So Nehru Committee report got a decent burial at the hands of the Congress at the Lahore session of the INC 1929. Nehru Committee report got a decent burial at the hands of the Congress at the Lahore session of INC 1929. Nehru Committee report got a decent burial at the hands of the Congress at the Lahore session of the INC 1929. Who gave the title Rani to the Naga woman leader Gaidili? Jawaharlal Nehru is the one, Jawaharlal Nehru. So who gave the title Rani to the Naga woman leader Gaidili? Jawaharlal Nehru. Who gave the title Rani to the Naga woman leader Gaidili? Jawaharlal Nehru. Moving on to the next question. Who founded a social organization, the Jat Path Torak Mandal 1922, for breaking the caste barrier among the Hindus? Bhai Parmanand. Bhai Parmanand is the one who kind of established this organization, founded this social organization, Jat Path Torak Mandal. Jat Path Torak Mandal 1922 for the breaking caste barriers among the Hindus. Who founded the social organization Jat Path Torak Mandal 1922? Jat Path Torak Mandal, Bhai Parmanand. Jat Path Torak Mandal, Bhai Parmanand. Jat Path Torak Mandal, Bhai Parmanand 1922. Which of the following was not a leader of the All India Hindu Mahasabha? Which of the following was not a leader of the All India Hindu Mahasabha? Hindu Mahasabha leader was Savarkar, Bhai Parmanand, and Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. So basically, leader or was not, I would say just the leader. So we're gonna cross the word not. Which of the following were the leaders of All India Hindu Mahasabha? So Hindu Mahasabha leaders were Savarkar, V.D. Savarkar, Bhai Parmanand, and Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, Bhai Parmanand, and Savarkar. And Bhai Parmanand was the same guy who founded the social organization Jat Path Torak Mandal 1922 for breaking the caste barriers. That Bhai Parmanand was the same guy who founded social organization Jat Path Torak Mandal 1922 for breaking the caste barriers among the Hindus, and he was also the member of the Hindu Mahasabha. So who are the other members of Hindu Mahasabha? V.D. Savarkar, Bhai Parmanand, and Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. Moving on to the next question. The only Indian prince who actively participated in the revolutionary movement within and outside India was Raja Mahendra Pratap. So only Indian prince who actively participated in the revolutionary movement within and outside India was Raja Mahendra Pratap. Moving on to the next question. Bal Gangadhar Tilak was given the epithet Lokmanya during Home Rule movement. During Home Rule movement, Bal Gangadhar Tilak was given epithet Lokmanya Tilak during Home Rule movement. I guess Lokmanya title was given to him by, Gandhi. So Bal Gangadhar Tilak was given the epithet Lokmanya during the Home Rule movement. Moving on to the next question. Mahatma Gandhi's first experiment with this technique of satyagraha is Champaran. So Champaran is the place where first he experimented with this technique of satyagraha. Gandhi first experimented with this technique of satyagraha in Champaran where he did that. A senior Congress leader who held that the Quit India movement was misguided and detrimental to the India's long-term interest was Sri Rajagopalacharya. So Chakraborty Rajagopalacharya, a senior Congress leader who held that Quit India movement was misguided and detrimental to the India's long-term interest. This is like the Congress leader who held that the Quit India movement was misguided and detrimental to India's long-term interest. Quit India movement was detrimental to the long-term interest of India. Congress leader Rajagopalacharya said that Quit India movement was misguided and detrimental to the long-term interest of India. Chakraborty Rajagopalacharya, he is of the opinion, senior Congress leader who held the opinion that Quit India movement was misguided and detrimental to India's long-term interest. Moving on to the next question. The INC became both Indian and the national in reality as well as rare at the Lucknow session of 1916. So Congress, like INC, became national in the year of 1916. So that's pretty much it. INC became both Indian and the national. So INC became both Indian and national in reality as well as in rare at the Lucknow session of INC in 1916. INC became both Indian and national in reality as well as in rare at the Lucknow session of INC. Moving on to the next question. Matching again. The matching has to be done. All of these are matched correctly. Bal Gangadhar Tilak is also known as the Lokmanya Tilak, Andrews Dinabandhu, C.F. Andrews Dinabandhu, Madan Mohan Malavya, Mahamanya Malavya, Madan Mohan Malavya, Mahamanya Malavya, and Lala Lajpat Rai, Punjab Kesari. Lala Lajpat Rai, Punjab Kesari. So all of these are perfectly matched. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following was not the result of the Home Rule movement of the Tilak and Besant? So this was the movement generated cultural awakening. No, that is not. So basically, what are the results of the Home Rule movement? So basically, the INC and the Muslim League both thought of sharing the passive resistance movement. So basically, INC and Muslim League both thought of starting a passive resistance movement. So basically, INC and League both thought of starting a passive resistance movement. Then comes Home Rule campaign virtually ousted the moderates from the political field. So basically, Home Rule campaign virtually ousted the moderates from the political field. Home Rule movement virtually ousted, that is to say, thrown out the moderates from the field of this politics, from the political field. And then the INC became the Congress. The INC became the Congress of Tilak and Besant. So basically, INC that became Congress and Tilak's INC. The Indian National Congress became Congress of Tilak and INC. Tilaks and Besants. The INC and the Muslim League both. INC and the Muslim League both thought of starting a passive resistance movement. So basically, INC and the Muslim League both thought of starting a passive resistance movement. The Home Rule campaign virtually ousted the moderates from the political field, and then INC became the Congress of Tilak and Besants. Moving on, Jatin Das, who died September 13th, 1929 after a long hunger strike in prison, had been arrested in connection with the murder of Saunders, that is just Lahore conspiracy. And this conspiracy goes by the name Lahore conspiracy case. Lahore conspiracy, Saunders. The Jatin Das, who died September 13, 1929 after a long hunger strike in prison, had been arrested in connection with the murder of Saunders, Lahore conspiracy case. Jatin Das died September 13, 1929 after a long strike in prison. He had been arrested in connection with murder of Saunders, Lahore conspiracy case. Lahore conspiracy case. Jatin Das died after hunger strike of 50 days. Actually, after long hunger strike in prison, September 13, 1929, Jatin Das died, had been arrested in connection with murder of Saunders. That is pretty much what it is. Moving on to the next question. The president of the Lahore session of the INC, December 1929, which passed the Purna Swaraj resolution was Jawaharlal Nehru. The president of the Lahore session of INC, December 1929, which passes Purna Swaraj resolution. Purna Swaraj resolution passed in 1929 December, and at that point, Lahore session INC, the president of was Jawaharlal Nehru. So Jawaharlal Nehru was the president of INC 1929 December Lahore session, where the Purna Swaraj declaration was made. So basically, Jawaharlal Nehru was the president of INC 1929, where the Purna Swaraj resolution was made. Moving on to the next question, the famous Purna Swaraj declaration, which says, "We held it to be a crime against man and God to submit any longer to a rule that has caused this fourfold disaster to our country," was prepared by all of this. That is to say, Nehru, Gandhi, and Motilal Nehru. Jawaharlal Nehru, Motilal Nehru, and Gandhi. Jawaharlal Nehru, Motilal Nehru, Gandhi, all of them, they kind of Purna Swaraj Declaration, 1929, Lahore session, all of them, they prepared the statement. And what was the statement? Nehru, that is to say both Nehru, father and son, Jawaharlal Nehru and Motilal Nehru and Gandhi. The famous Purna Swaraj Declaration was this, something goes like this, and prepared by all of this, Gandhi, that is to say Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru and Motilal Nehru. And what was the statement that was made in relation to Purna Swaraj Declaration? It was this: we hold it to be a crime against man and God to submit any longer to a rule that has caused this fourfold disaster to a country. So it would be, we hold it to be a crime against man and God to submit to any longer to a rule that has caused this fourfold disaster to our country. This was prepared by Nehru, Gandhi, and Jawaharlal Nehru, Motilal Nehru, and Gandhi. Moving on to the next question. Gandhi Arvind Pact was that what? Gandhi, the half-naked fakir. The greatest merit of the Gandhi Arvind Pact was this. What was this? Gandhi, the half-naked fakir, ascended the staircase of the viceregal lodge. So, the greatest merit of Gandhi Arvind Pact was this: what Gandhi did manage to kind of climb the stairs. The half-naked fakir managed to climb the viceregal's lodge, staircase of the viceregal's lodge. The greatest merit of the Gandhi Arvind Pact was this: Gandhi, the half-naked fakir, ascended the staircase of the viceregal's lodge. Gandhi, the half-naked fakir, ascended the staircase of the viceregal's lodge. Fine. Opposition of the Gandhi Arvind Pact was mainly, what was the reason? Because of the suspension of the civil disobedience movement. The opposition of the Gandhi Arvind Pact was mainly because of suspension of the civil disobedience movement. The Gandhi Arvind opposition to the Gandhi Arvind Pact was mainly what? The Gandhi Arvind Pact opposition was mainly, what was the reason? Because of the suspension of the civil disobedience movement. Gandhi opposition to the Gandhi Arvind Pact was mainly because of the suspension to the civil disobedience movement. So civil disobedience movement was suspended, and that was the reason why everyone pretty much opposed Gandhi Arvind Pact. Civil disobedience movement had to be suspended in order to come to the table and sign this Gandhi Arvind Pact. And this was the condition, that civil disobedience movement has to be postponed, has to be called off. And that was the biggest kind of, let's just say, bummer. And all of them protested it. All the politicians and the nationalists, they protested it. They opposed it. So, because of the suspension of the civil disobedience movement, Gandhi Arvind Pact was basically being criticized by many. Moving on to the next question. After the Gaya session of the INC, December 1922, Gaya session, a new party was formed by Motilal Nehru and C.R. Das. Its name was Swaraj Party. After the Gaya session of the INC, December 1922, a new party was formed by Motilal Nehru and C.R. Das. Its name was Swaraj Party. The Meerut conspiracy case, in which 27 accused persons were defended by Jawaharlal Nehru, K.N. Gandhiji, related to the member of which party? Communist Party of India. So the Meerut conspiracy, in which 27 accused persons were defended by Nehru, and K.N. Gandhiji, related to the members of the Communist Party of India. Second Roundtable Conference related to the issue of discussion, and the statement at the Second Roundtable Conference was representation of the repressed classes. The issue of discussion and the stalemate, not statement but stalemate, actually, the blockage. The issue of the discussion and the stalemate of the Second Roundtable Conference related to the representation of the repressed classes. The issue of discussion and the stalemate at the Second Roundtable Conference related to representation of the depressed classes. That was the stalemate. Who of the following was not hanged in the famous Kakori train dacoity, or who have hanged? Roshan Lal, Ashfaqullah, and Ramprasad Bismil. Roshan Lal, and Ashfaqullah. Ashfaqullah Khan, Roshan Lal, Ramprasad Bismil. All of them, they were hanged in famous Kakori train dacoity. And the issue of discussion and stalemate at the Second Roundtable Conference related to representation of the depressed classes. The issue of discussion and the stalemate of the Second Roundtable Conference related to representation of the depressed classes. Moving on to the next, Chittagong Armory raid had been planned by Surya Sen, 1930. Surya Sen, he was the one who planned this Chittagong Armory raid. So that's pretty much what it is. Moving on to the next question. Two great women revolutionary of the Indian national movement, Prithilatha Wadidar and Kalpana Datta, were the revolutionary co-workers of Surya Sen. Then Prithilatha Wadidar and Kalpana Datta were the revolutionary co-workers of Surya Sen. Two greatest women revolutionaries of the national movement, Prithilatha Wadidar and Kalpana Datta, were revolutionary co-workers of Surya Sen, Master Surya Sen. Who murdered Saunders, Assistant Superintendent Police, Lahore, for assaulting Lala Lajpat Rai? Bhagat Singh. Bhagat Singh was the one he was the one who murdered Saunders. Who murdered Saunders? Bhagat Singh was the one who murdered Saunders for he was the Assistant Superintendent of Police, ASP, Lahore, for assaulting Lala Lajpat Rai. Why did Bhagat Singh and Bhatugeshwar Datta throw bomb on the floor of the Central Assembly, Legislative Assembly in Delhi, and in the process got themselves arrested? And this happened in 8th April 1929. And the reason for that is that after murder of Saunders at Lahore, the people were suffering terribly at the hands of the police. Well, that was the one reason, that after the murder, everyone was being tortured. After the murder of the Saunders at Lahore, the people were suffering terribly at the hands of the police. A feeling had slowly gained around that the people had to suffer the consequence of the crime committed by Bhagat Singh, etc. To remove such a feeling, HSRA decided to send 2 members to commit crime and then to court arrest, to create a sensation all over India in order to remove political lethargy. There was a political lethargy that was also growing in, and in order to throw out this political lethargy, at the same time, after the murder of Saunders, people being tortured, and it's sort of the feelings sort of started creeping in that the consequence has to be bared. The murder of the Saunders, and whoever has done that, this the brunt has to be bared by the common people. They have to suffer for the murder of the SCP Saunders, and they're being tortured. And just to kind of relieve the commoner from the suffering, they came up to they committed the crime so that they can get themselves arrested. Bhagat Singh and Bhatugeshwar Datta. After the murder of Saunders at Lahore, the people were suffering terribly at the hands of the police. A feeling had slowly gained around the people had to suffer the consequences of the crime committed by Bhagat Singh, etc. To remove such a feeling, HSRA, Hindustan Socialist Republican Association, decided to send 2 members to commit crime and then to court arrest, to create a sensation all over India in order to remove political lethargy. So that was the reason why. Bhagat Singh and Bhatugeshwar Datta threw bomb on the floor of the Central Assembly in Delhi, and in the process got themselves arrested 8th April 1929. Moving on to the next, Jatin Das, an accused of the Lahore conspiracy case, on whose death the family of the Irish martyr Terence McSweeney sent condolences message. Terence McSweeney sent condolence messages to the family of Das. Died after undertaking a fast of 60 days. Basically, there was a Terence McSweeney is the one kind of let's just say a person, Irish martyr. He kind of sent condolences to the family of Jatin Das, and he he undertook fast for he went on without food for 60 days, and eventually he died. Jatin Das fasted for 63 days. Jatin Das, an accused of the Lahore conspiracy case, on whose death the family of the Irish martyr Terence McSweeney sent condolences message to the family of Das. Jatin Das died after 63 days of fast. Moving on next, Subhash Chandra Bose was unanimously elected president of INC at the Haripura session of the Congress held in 1938. Subhash Chandra Bose was elected unanimously president of INC at the Haripura session held in February 1938. Moving on to the next question, what was the fundamental difference between Subhash Chandra Bose and the Gandhi-Nehru group, which led to the defeat of the Gandhi's candidate of the presidential candidate of INC? Basu wanted to exploit the war between Germany and British to India's advantage, and said England's necessity is India's opportunity. So what was the kind of a difference between Subhash Chandra Bose and Gandhi-Nehru group? And that was the thing that they wanted. Subhash Chandra Bose wanted to exploit that situation, the war. They wanted to take the opportunity and kick the British out of India. And Nehru Gandhi group wanted to help British at that point. The Tripura session of the INC March 1939 was a historical event on account of the victory of the Subhash Chandra Bose as the president of INC against Gandhi nominee Pattabhi Sitaramayya. The Tripura session 1939 was a historical event because, of course, Gandhi's candidate lost, that is Pattabhi Sitaramayya against Subhash Chandra Bose INC, and Subhash Chandra Bose became the president of INC. After leaving the Congress, Subhash Chandra Bose founded Forward Bloc 1939. Then moving on to the next question, the main principle of M.K. Gandhi's famous basic education system at Wardha scheme was 1937 was learning through activity. Wardha scheme, that is to say Wardha scheme basic education, or the basic education system, or Wardha scheme of Gandhi 1937. The Wardha scheme of basic education system of 1937 Gandhi was learning through activity. Moving on to the next question, match the following event with the dates. So here it is. The August offer was made by Lord Lithgow, Viceroy of India, August 1940. August offer. In March 1942, the Cripps mission led by Sir Stafford Cripps was dispatched to India with constitutional proposal in order to gain India's support for the war effort. So Cripps' proposal, 1942, Stafford Cripps came, and the purpose was that to ask for help from India in the war. The Quit India movement, also known as the August movement or August Kranti, was a rallying call issued by Gandhi from the Bombay session of the Indian National Congress Committee on Mumbai, that is in Mumbai on August 8, 1942. Specifically, Quit India movement, 8th August 1942. Quit India movement, 8th August 1942. Then comes in March 1942. In March 1942, that is Stafford Cripps India movement, Cripps India mission. And then comes August offer in August 1940. Lord Viceroy Lindco, August offer 1940. Moving on to the next question, the 4 brigade of the INC were Gandhi, Subhash, named after Gandhi, Subhash, Gandhi, Azad, Nehru and Subhash. Gandhi, Azad, Nehru and Subhash. The first provisional government of Free India was inaugurated by Subhash Chandra Bose to Singapore. The first provisional government of Free India was inaugurated by Subhash Chandra Bose to Singapore. Subhash Chandra Bose. The first provisional government of Free India was inaugurated by Subhash Chandra Bose at Singapore. British Prime Minister Attlee made the historic announcement to the end of the British rule of India on February 20th, 1947. The British Prime Minister Attlee made the historic announcement of the end of the British rule of India, February 20th, 1947. British Prime Minister Clement Attlee made the historic announcement of the end of the British rule, 20th February 1947. Lord Mountbatten's Declaration on the Freedom of India and its partition is known as June 3rd Plan. Mountbatten's Declaration on the Freedom of India and its partition is known as the June 3rd Plan. Again matching has to be done. So one we can say the Savarkar India War for Independence, that is India wins freedom, that is Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, India wins freedom. India divided, Rajendra Prasad, like these are things that we have to know. So we got answers here, like India Divided, this was written by Rajendra Prasad, the India Divided, and then Abdul Kalam Azad wrote the India Wins Freedom, Savarkar, the Nation's Voice, and Indian War for Independence, Savarkar, and Rajagopalacharya, the Nation's Voice. The Rajagopalacharya, the Nation's Voice, the Nation's Voice was written by Rajagopalacharya, wrote the Nation's Voice. So Dr. Rajendra Prasad wrote what book? Rajendra Prasad wrote India Divided. Dr. Rajendra Prasad wrote India Divided. Rajagopalacharya wrote The Nation's Voice, Rajagopalacharya wrote The Nation's Voice. India War for Independence, this was written by Savarkar, and Abdul Kalam Azad, India Wins Freedom, Abdul Kalam Azad. Moving on to the next question, the certain movement of the early 20th century described as the movement from below. What? Peasant and the tribal movement. Certain movements of the early, peasant and the tribal movement. Certain movements of early 20th century described as movement from the below, that is to say from the bottom section of the society, peasant and the tribal movement. So certain movements of the early 20th century was described as movement from below, that is below the society, below the strata of society, that is to say below strung of the society. Certain movements of early 20th century was described as the movement from below the society. This was peasant and the tribal movement. Again the matching has to be done. So the matching is done. Then this book's by India and the World was written by Jawaharlal Nehru. Scripted Flute or whatever, Scripted Flute, this book was written by Sarojini Naidu. This is a collection of poetry. Scripted Flute or whatever, this was written by Sarojini Naidu. India and the World written by Nehru, and the book The Conquest of Self was authored by Gandhi. Then the Savitri was written by Arabinda Ghosh. Arabinda Ghosh was the one who wrote Savitri. So basically Savitri was written by Arabinda Ghosh. The Sceptred Flute is the book. There's a collection of poetry that was written by Sarojini Naidu. The Sceptred Flute is a collection of poetry written by Sarojini Naidu. Then the India and the World was written by Jawaharlal Nehru. The book Conquest of Self was authored by Gandhi, and then of course Savitri was written by Arabinda Ghosh. Arabinda Ghosh wrote Savitri. So that's pretty much what it is. Moving on to the next question, and here it is. What approximately was the number of the princely state which largely became independent after the lapse of the British paramountcy? There was around 600 princely states. What was the number of, there was almost 600 princely states which legally became independent at the lapse of British paramountcy on August 15, 1947. So there were 600 princely states. Moving on to the next question. A Muslim organization which opposed the First World War, that Muslims should participate and try to reach an accord with the Congress, was Muslim League. So basically a Muslim organization, that is to say Muslim League, was an organization which opposed during First World War that the Muslims should participate and try to reach an accord with the Congress. So a Muslim League, they kind of opposed, I guess. Muslim League organization which not opposed, rather proposed. I was mistaken. So Muslim League organization which proposed during the First World War that the Muslims should participate and try to reach an accord with the Congress. So basically a Congress, Congress organization which First World War, they kind of there was the opinion that they should get involved and try to come up with an amicable solution. Muslim League. Moving on to the next question. Vasu Vigyan Mandir was established, or Bose Institute was established in 1917. Vasu Vigyan Mandir 1917. Moving on, whom of the following was not a member of the Constituent Assembly? So Constituent Assembly member was Patel, Sardar Patel, Ambedkar, and Rajendra Prasad, but Gandhi was not there. So Gandhi was not there. So member of the Constituent Assembly was Rajendra Prasad, Ambedkar, and Sardar Patel, but not Gandhi. Tevaka movement was launched by Bengal President Krishak Sabha to force implementation of the recommendation of Flood Commission through mass struggle. The Tevaka movement. So Tevaka movement was launched by Bengal Provincial Kisan Sabha to force implementation of the recommendation of the Flood Commission, for the mass struggle. So Tevaka movement was launched by the Bengal Provincial Kisan Sabha to force implementation of the recommendation of the Flood Commission through mass struggle. Flood Commission through mass struggle. So Subhash Chandra Bose became the Supreme Leader of the Indian National Army in 1943. Subhash Chandra Bose became the Supreme Leader of the Indian National Army in 1943. Moving on to the next question. Quit India movement was launched in immediate reason, and the immediate reason the Quit India movement was launched in immediate response to the failure of the Cripps mission. Quit India movement, Cripps mission failure. Who was the viceroy at the time of the Quit India movement? Lord Linlithgow. Lord Linlithgow was the viceroy of Quit India movement. Lord Linlithgow was the viceroy of Quit India movement. Lord Linlithgow, viceroy of the Quit India movement. The famous 11-point ultimatum given by Gandhi to Arvind includes what? 50% reduction of the land revenue, 50% reduction of the land revenue, abolition of the salt tax, impose custom duties on the foreign clothes to provide textile protection, impose custom duties on foreign clothes to provide textile protection, impose custom duties on foreign clothes to provide textile protection, abolition of salt tax, impose custom duties on foreign clothes to provide textile protection, 50% reduction of the land taxes. This was 11-point ultimatum given by Gandhi to the Gandhi-Arvind Pact, I guess. Non-cooperation movement was launched on the issue of water 1, 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 4, not 3. So these were the reasons why non-cooperation movement was launched on the issue of what are the issues? Remedy of the Punjab wrong, non-cooperation movement, remedy of the Khilafat wrong, and attainment of the Swaraj. So these are the reasons why non-cooperation movement was launched. And 3 reasons why: remedy of the Punjab wrong, remedy of the Khilafat wrong, and attainment of Swaraj. Moving on to the next question. Where and when and where did Gandhi become the president of INC? Gandhi became president only once, I guess, Belgaum session 1924. So Gandhi became president of INC, Belgaum session 1924. 1924 Belgaum session, Gandhi became president of INC. The first Indian movement launched by Gandhi was Rowlatt Satyagraha. The first Indian movement was launched by Gandhi. First Indian movement launched by Gandhi was Rowlatt Satyagraha. Moving on to the next question. Indian sociologist was Shamakrishna Verma. Shamaji Krishna Verma was the one who published Indian Sociologist 1905. From 1905, I guess. Indian Sociologist was published by Shamaji Krishna Verma, 1905. Shamaji Krishna Verma published Indian Sociologist from 1905. Who played a prominent role in smuggling arms needed for the deadly attack on the Bengal governor Sir John Anderson at Lebong Racecourse, Darjeeling? Ujjwal Mazumdar. Ujjwal Mazumdar was the one who involved in this particular incident. So Ujjwal Mazumdar played a prominent role in smuggling arms needed for the deadly attack on Bengal governor Sir John Anderson at Lebong Racecourse, Darjeeling. So Ujjwal Mazumdar he was the one played a prominent role in smuggling arms needed for the deadly attack on Bengal governor Sir John Anderson at Lebong Racecourse, Darjeeling, 9th May 1934. Ujjwal Mazumdar. Moving on, the first woman state prisoner under Regulation 3 of 1818 was Nani Bala Devi. The first woman state prisoner under Regulation 3 1818 was Nani Bala Devi. The first woman prisoner under Regulation 3 of 1818 was Nani Bala Devi. First woman prisoner under Regulation 3, woman prisoner 1883. On Regulation 3, 1818 actually, not 1883. The first woman state prisoner under Regulation 3, 1818 was Nani Bala Devi. Moving on to the next question. The genesis of the demand of Pakistan as a separate state can be traced in 1933, Chaudhry Rahmat Ali. So in the Chaudhry Rahmat Ali's ideas, this can be traced for the first time. So 1933, the genesis of the demand for Pakistan as a separate state can be traced from Chaudhry Rahmat Ali, 1933. The genesis of the demand for Pakistan as a separate state can be traced from Chaudhry Rahmat Ali's ideas. The song सरफरोशी की तमन्ना अब हमारे दिल में है, देखना है जोर किसना बाजुए कातिल में है, immortalized by Bhagat Singh, Ramprasad Bismil Ashfaqullah, was composed by Bismil Azimabadi. So Bismil Azimabadi is the one who composed this song, सरफरोशी की तमन्ना अब हमारे दिल में है. Moving on, who among the following was one of the prominent leader of the Justice movement? E.V. Ramaswamy Nikar Periyar was the one. Justice Party, or leader of the Justice Party, prominent leader, that's come back. So the following was a prominent leader of the Justice Party, E.V. Ramaswamy Nikar Periyar. So prominent leader of the Justice movement was E.V. Ramaswamy. Actually, Justice movement. Among the following was the prominent leader of the Justice movement, E.V. Ramaswamy Nikar Periyar. When did Vayur temple entry movement take place. Vayur, Malabar district, 1931. Guruvayur temple movement, 1931, Malabar coast. Malabar is the place where this Guruvayur temple entry movement took place. Guruvayur temple entry movement took place in Malabar district, 1931. Guruvayur temple entry movement, Guruvayur temple entry movement take place, 1931, Malabar district. Moving on, All India Conference of the depressed classes was formed in 1930. All India Conference of the depressed classes was formed in 1930. All India depressed classes formed 1930. M.H. Mahad Satyagraha constituted an important milestone in Ambedkar's political career. When did it take place? Mahad Satyagraha. Mahad Satyagraha constituted an important milestone in Ambedkar's political career, and Mahad Satyagraha took place in 1927. What is Mahad Satyagraha? We will take a look at it later. Mahad Satyagraha constituted an important milestone in Ambedkar's political career. When did it took place? 1927. All India Women's Conference was founded in 1927 by Margaret Cousins. Margaret Cousins were the one. All India Women's Conference was founded. All India Women's Conference was founded in 1927 by Margaret Cousins. All India Women's Conference was founded by Margaret Cousins, 1927. Moving on to the next question. Sarojini Naidu founded women's organization named Rashtriya Stree Sangha. Rashtriya Stree Sangha founded by Sarojini Naidu founded the women's organization named Rashtriya Stree Sangha. Sarojini Naidu founded Rashtriya Stree Sangha. Sarojini Naidu. A franchise for women was slowly introduced in Madras. That is to say Madras province, in the year of 1919. Franchise for women was slowly introduced in Madras, where the first provinces to extend a franchise to the women. Basically, Madras was the first province to extend franchise, that is to say universal adult franchise, I guess. Franchise for women was slowly introduced in Madras, where the first province, Madras was the first province to enter or extend franchise to the women. Election, actually, 1919. Franchise was given to the women first in Madras. This was 1919. Madras. Moving on to the next question. Who was the first woman legislature? Muthulakshmi Reddy was the first woman legislature. Madras Legislative Assembly, Madras Legislative Council, 1927. Muthulakshmi Reddy, Madras Legislative Council, 1927. Muthulakshmi Reddy. Madras Legislative Council, 1927. First woman legislature. First women's legislature, Madras Legislative Council, 1927. First woman legislature, Madras Legislative Council. First woman legislature, Muthulakshmi Reddy. Child Marriage Restraint Act, popularly known as Sharda Act, was passed in the year of 1929. Child Marriage Restraint Act, popularly known as Sharda Act. The Child Marriage Restraint Act, popularly known as Restraining Order. Child Restraint Act, popularly known as Sharda Act, was known as it was kind of a Sharda Act, popularly known as Sharda Act. This came into force in 1929. Child Marriage Restraint Act, popularly known as Sharda Act, was passed in the year of 1929. Moving on to the next question. Whom of the following group was not associated with the formation of the Communist Party of India? Ghadar Party, then comes Emigre and Hindu radicals. So basically Hindu radicals, Emigre Revolutionary, and Ghadar Revolutionary. Emigre, I do not know how to pronounce. Emigre, Ghadar Revolutionary, and Hindu radicals. All of them are involved in formation of the Communist Party, but not Muhajirs. There was no involvement of the Muhajirs. Involvement of Muhajirs were not there. So Ghadar Revolutionary, Emigre Revolutionary, and Hindu radicals. Radicals. All of them are involved in it. Then Kudi Arasu was published by Kudi Arasu. This was published by Ramaswamy Nikar. Kudi Arasu was published in 1925 by E.B. Ramaswamy Nikar. Kudi Arasu was published by E.B. Ramaswamy Nikar, Peria, 1925. Kudi Arasu published by E.B. Ramaswamy Nikar, 1925. In the year of 1925, Kudi Arasu was published by E.B. Ramaswamy Nikar in the year of 1925. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following do not belong to the transfer subject as per the Act of 1919? So local self-government was transfer subject, education, public work. So land revenue administration was not a transfer subject. So what are the transfer subjects were there according to Act of 1919? So transfer subject was which of the following does not belong to transfer subject? So land revenue administration was a transfer subject. Does not belong to the transfer subject. But local self-government, education and public work, these are all kind of comes under the purview of transfer subject. Local self-government, education, public works, they all comes under the subject of purview of transfer subject. But local land revenue administration does not come under the purview of transfer subjects as per the Act of 1919. Moving on to the next question. D.D. Koshambi, 1907 to 66, is a pioneer of Marxist historiography. D.D. Koshambi, Marxist historiography. Moving on, by which act did education officially came under Indian control for the first time? Government of India Act of 1919. By Government of India Act 1919, education officially came under India's control for the first time. Then comes in 1934, Gandhi withdrew himself from all political activities and made a countrywide tour covering a distance of 12,504 miles. This tour is known as Hariyan Yatra. In 1934, Gandhi withdrew himself from all political activity and made a countrywide tour covering a distance of 12,504 miles. This tour is known as Harijan Yatra. The British Prime Minister Attlee made the historic announcement of the end of the British rule of India on 22nd February 20th, 1947. So that's pretty much the date. The British Prime Minister Attlee made the historic announcement of the end of the British rule of India on February 20th, 1947. Moving on to the next, on August 11th, 1947, who told the Constituent Assembly of Pakistan, "You may belong to any religion or caste or creed. This has nothing to do with the business of the state." Jinnah says this. So Jinnah says on August 11, 1947 to the Constituent Assembly of Pakistan, "You may belong to any religion or caste or creed. That has nothing to do with the business of the state." Out of 11, in how many provinces Congress ministries were formed in July 1937? 7. So out of 11, 7 provinces, except Bengal, Punjab and some other. Out of 11, in how many provinces? Out of 11, in 7 provinces, Congress ministries were formed in July 1937. Then moving on to the next question. The Society Khudai Khidmatkar, organized by Pathans under the leadership of Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, is popularly known as Red Shirt. The Khudai Khidmatkar, organized by Pathans under the leadership of Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, popularly known as Red Shirt, who wrote the governor from prison. The individual must die so the nation may live. Today I must die so that the India may win freedom. This was said by actually Jyotin Das, I guess. Not sure. So here it goes. This was said by Subhash Chandra Bose, actually, who wrote to the governor from prison, "The individual must die so that the nation may live today. Today I must die so that the nation may win freedom and glory." So individual must die so that the nation may live today. Today I must die. Like individual must die so that the nation may live today. Today I must die so that the nation may win freedom and glory. This was said by Subhash Chandra Bose. This was written. Who wrote to the governor from prison? Subhash Chandra Bose wrote this to the governor from prison. Moving on to the next question. Lord Mountbatten's declaration on the freedom of India and its partition is known as June 3rd Plan. Moving on. By whom was the Lahore session of the Indian National Congress decided over in 1929, which adopted Purna Swaraj resolution? Jawaharlal Nehru. Moving, Quit India movement carried on, under whose overall leadership? But there is no overall leadership. There was none of overall leadership. Under whose overall leadership Quit India movement were carried on? It was many leaders were there. Which of the following statement about RIN mutiny is not correct? So basically, the mutiny started in Calcutta. Well, that is not correct. But what is correct? Socialists like Aruna Ashraf Ali sympathized with the rebel. That is one thing. Gandhi condemned the violence. That is also correct. Sardar Patel persuaded the ratings to surrender. Surrender all. Sardar Patel persuaded the ratings to surrender all. Gandhi condemned the violence, and Aruna Ashraf Ali sympathized with the rebel. RIN, Royal Indian Navy rating mutiny. In relation to this, these 3 statements are correct. Of the 4 events mentioned below, which one last to take place? RIN mutiny, I guess. RIN. RIN mutiny was the cabinet mission plan. Then RIN mutiny. RIN mutiny was the last one to take place among the options. The worst communal carnage as a result of the Muslim League's call for the direct action date took place in Calcutta. The worst communal carnage as a result of the Muslim League's call for the direct action date took place in Calcutta. The Indian Struggle is an autobiography of Subhash Chandra Bose. The Indian Struggle is an autobiography of Subhash Chandra Bose. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following organization did not support the Quit India movement 1942? Party organization. Hindu Mahasabha, Communist Party, RSS, Communist Party, Hindu Mahasabha. None of them supported Quit India movement. So the Hindu Mahasabha, Communist Party and RSS. The Congress Khilafat Swaraj Party with C.R. Das as its president was founded in 1922. The Congress Khilafat Swaraj Party with C.R. Das as its president founded in 1922. The leader of which organization raised objection on the Nehru report at the All-Party Convention held at Calcutta, December 1928. All of them. Organization Nehru report, Muslim League, Hindu Mahasabha, Sikhs, all of them, they kind of raised their objection against the at the All-Party Conference, the leader of which organization raised objection on Nehru report at All-Party Conference held at Calcutta, December 1920. All-Party Conference, this was held in Calcutta, December 1928. And who are the parties that raised objection? Muslim League, Hindu Mahasabha, Sikhs, Hindu Mahasabha, Muslim League and Sikh, Muslim League, Hindu Mahasabha, Sikhs, all of them in 1928 All-Party Conference, they raised objection to Nehru report. Moving on, the inaugural session of the All India Trade Union Congress in 1920 was presided by Lala Lajpat Rai. Inaugural session of All India Trade Union Congress presided by Lala Lajpat Rai in 1920. Muhammad Ali Jinnah left India for Karachi, Pakistan on 11th August 1947. Muhammad Ali Jinnah left India for Karachi, Pakistan on 11th August 1947. Moving on to the next question. Which movement was suspended by Gandhi after the Chauri Chaura incident? Non-cooperation movement. Gandhi suspended non-cooperation movement after Chauri Chaura incident. The open mutiny of the Royal Indian Navy Rin took place. The open mutiny February 1946. February 1946 Rin. Royal Indian Navy mutiny Rin took place in 1946 February. Which resolution of the Muslim League did formally proclaim the Indian Muslims as a nation? Lahore Resolution 1940. Lahore Resolution 1940. Which resolution of the Muslim League formally proclaimed Indian Muslim as a nation? Which resolution of the Muslim League did formally proclaim the Indian Muslims as a nation? Lahore Resolution 1940. To which of the following, to which of the struggle did Gandhi associate himself during 1916 to 18? Gandhi associated himself with A and B, that is to say Champaran Satyagraha and Kheda Satyagraha. To which of the struggles, which of these struggles did Gandhi associated himself during 16 to 18? 1916 to 18, Champaran Satyagraha and Kheda Satyagraha. Which of the following funds were started to finance non-cooperation movement? Tilak Swaraj Fund. Which of the following funds were started to finance non-cooperation movement? Tilak Swaraj Fund. Historic Dandi March began 12th March 1930. Historic Dandi March 12th March 1930 began after the creation of the new provinces, two new provinces, Sindh and Orissa, through Government of India Act of 1935. The total number of the provinces in the British India became 11. So after the creation of the two new provinces of Sindh and Orissa through Government of India Act of 1935, the total number of provinces of British India became 11. Then comes the Jamia Millia Islamia of Aligarh, Bihar Vidyapit and Kashi Vidyapit and Gujarat Vidyapit came into existence during the period of a non-cooperation movement 1921 to 22. So Jamia Millia Islamia at Aligarh, then comes Bihar Vidyapit, then Kashi Vidyapit and Gujarat Vidyapit came into existence during the period of non-cooperation movement 1921 to 1922. Moving on, then 2016, which of the following resolution of the Muslim League finally and formally proclaimed Muslim as a nation, Muslims of India as a nation? Lahore Resolution 1940. Which of the following resolution, that is Lahore Resolution, resolution of the Muslim League finally and formally proclaimed the Muslims of India as a nation? Lahore Resolution 1940. Moving on to next, who said about the Government of India Act of 1935? After all, we framed the Constitution of 1935 because we thought it is best way to sort of control, to hold India to the empire. So basically, Lord Viceroy Linlithgow is the one who said that about the Government of India Act. After all, we framed the Constitution of 1935 because we thought it is the best way to hold India to the empire. Lord Linlithgow, Viceroy Linlithgow, said about the Government of India Act of 1935 that after all, we framed the Constitution of 1935 because we thought it is the best way to hold India to the empire. This was said by Lord Linlithgow, Viceroy. Moving on to the next question. During the course of which movement did the incident of the Chittagong Armory take place? Civil Disobedience Movement. During the Civil Disobedience Movement, Chittagong Armory Raid took place. Which of the following organization parties does not approve the Quit India movement? All of this: Hindu Mahasabha, Madan Mohan Malavya, Hindu Mahasabha, Muslim League, and B.R. Ambedkar. All of them, they didn't support Quit India movement. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following book is not correctly matched? So, Bipin Chandra Pal, communalism in modern India, that is Bipin Chandra, nationalism and colonialism of modern India. Sumit Sarkar, modern India, 1885 to 1847. All are correct, but then struggle for independence, Savarkar is the struggle for Indian struggle for independence is V.D. Savarkar. So Bipin Chandra wrote two books: Communalism in Modern India, Nationalism and Colonialism in Modern India. Communalism in Modern India, Nationalism and Colonialism in Modern India. Communalism in Modern India, Nationalism and Colonialism in Modern India. This both are written by Bipin Chandra. Sumit Sarkar wrote Modern India from 1885 to 1947, and Indian Independence, India's Struggle for Independence. This was written by Savarkar. Moving on, after the Surat split on 1992, second split took place in Congress 1918 over the issue of Montego Declaration. Second split took place in 1918 in Congress. The first National Planning Committee was constituted by the Congress in 1938 under the presidency of First National Planning Committee was constituted by the Congress in 1938 under the presidency of Jawaharlal Nehru, Planning Commission President. First National Planning Commission was constituted by the Congress 1938 under the presidency of Jawaharlal Nehru, Planning Commission President. 3 members of the Cabinet Mission that visited India between March to June 1946 was headed by Lord Pethick Lawrence. 3-member Cabinet Mission that visited India between March to June 1946 was headed by Lord Pethick Lawrence. 3-member Cabinet Mission that visited India between March and June 1946 was headed by Lord Pethick Lawrence. During which period Gandhi remained aloof from direct politics and concentrated on his energies on constructive programs, 1924 to 27. So 1924 to 27, Gandhi remained aloof from direct politics and concentrated his energies on constructive programs, 1924 to 27. Then who described Quit India movement 1942 1942 as by far the most serious rebellion since 1857. Viceroy Lord Linlithgow. Quit India movement. Viceroy Lord Linlithgow declared that Quit India movement of 1942 by far the most serious rebellion after 1857. Moving on to the next question. When and where was the All India Kisan Sabha formed? Lucknow, 1936. Lucknow, Shahjahan Saraswati was involved there. Shahjahan Saraswati. Lucknow, All India Kisan Sabha, 1936, Lucknow. Moving on to the next question. Who acted as the president of Indian National Congress for 6 consecutive years? Abdul Kalam Azad, 1940 to 45. 1940 to 45, 6 consecutive years. Abul Kalam Azad acted president of Indian National Congress for 6 consecutive years, 40 to 45. Abul Kalam Azad. Which of the following movement emerges in southern India under the leadership of E.V. Ramaswamy Nikar Periyar self-respect movement? E.V. Ramaswamy Nikar Periyar self-respect movement grew under E.V. Ramaswamy Nikar Periyar. E.V. Ramaswamy Nikar Periyar self-respect movement, and that's a huge. Then moving on to the next question. Which of the following women's organization came into existence in 1927? All India Women's Conference came into existence in 1927. All India Women's Organization. Which of the following women's organization came into existence in 1927? All India Women's Conference came into existence in 1927. Moving on to the next question. Who was the president of Indian National Congress when Shimla Conference was convened by Lord Wavell in June-July 1945? Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad or Maulana Abul Kalam Azad. Who was the president? Maulana Abul Kalam Azad was the president of Indian National Congress when Shimla Conference was convened by Lord Wavell in June-July 1945. So Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad or Abul Kalam Azad was the president of Indian National Congress when Shimla Conference was convened by Lord Wavell in June-July 1945. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad. In which year Tebhaga movement launched in Bengal? 1946. Tebhaga movement launched in 1946. Tebhaga movement in Bengal launched in 1946. Vaikam Satyagraha was launched in Kerala. Vaikam Satyagraha to remove untouchability, Kerala, 1924. Vaikam Satyagraha was launched Kerala in 1924. 1924 Kerala to remove untouchability. Vaikam Satyagraha launched in Kerala 1924 to remove untouchability. Moving on to the next question. Who moved a resolution at the Congress session in 1918 demanding equal eligibility for voting rights for both men and women? Sarala Devi Chaudharani. Sarala Devi Chaudharani is the one who kind of did that. Sarala Devi Chaudharani is the woman who moved a resolution at the Congress session 1918 demanding equal eligibility for voting rights for both men and women. Sarala Devi Chaudharani was the kind of a woman, individual, who raised the demand for this resolution of the Congress 1918 demanding equal eligibility for voting rights for both men and women. Sarala Devi Chaudharani in 1918 moved a resolution in Congress session 1918. Sarala Devi Chaudharani, 1918 Congress session, demanded equal voting right for both men and women. Congress session 1918. Moving on to the next question. A historic session, Lucknow, 1916 of the INC was presided over by Ambika Charan Mazumdar. Ambika Charan Mazumdar presided over the historic Lucknow session 1916, rejoining of the Congress. Which of the following movement was started by Swami Shahjahanand Saraswati in Bihar? Swami Shahjahanand Saraswati Kishan Sabha movement. Swami Shahjahanand Saraswati Kishan Sabha movement, 33 to 39, 1933 to 39. Swami Shahjahanand Saraswati in Bihar Kishan Sabha movement, 1933 to 39. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following was perhaps the most widespread, most intense and most organized peasant movement in the history of the colonial India? Tebhaga movement. Tebhaga movement, most organized, most widespread and most intense organized peasant movement in history of the colonial India. Moving on to the next question. In which of the following movement prominent women leaders like Sucheta Kripalani, Aruna Ashraf Ali took the responsibility of coordinating the movement in the face of the unprecedented police repression? Quit India movement. During Quit India movement, these women during Quit India movement, prominent women leaders like Sucheta Kripalani, Aruna Ashraf Ali took responsibility for coordinating the movement in the face of the unprecedented police repression. So Sucheta Kripalani and Aruna Ashraf Ali took responsibility of the coordination of the movement at the face of police repression. Women leaders like Sucheta Kripalani and Aruna Ashraf Ali took the responsibility of coordinating the movement in face, that is to say, during the Quit India movement. During the Quit India movement, women leaders like Sucheta Kripalani and Aruna Ashraf Ali took the responsibility of coordinating the movement in the face of unprecedented police repression. Which of the following Which one of the following period of the trade unionism or union movement in India witnessed growing influence of the communist ideology on the trade unionism for the first time? Growing influence of communist ideology, trade unionism noticed in 1924 to 34. So the growing influence of communist ideology, trade unionism in 1924 to 24 to 34, 10 years. In which year was the Indian capitalist class organized itself under the banner FICCI? 1927. Communist, not capitalist class actually. In which year capitalist class organized under the banner FICCI FICCI? 1927. like a capitalist class organized under under the banner of FICCI in 1927. Capitalist class organized under FICCI in 1927. Breakdown plan 1945 for the transfer of power in India been proposed by Viceroy Lord Wovell. Viceroy Lord Wovell. Breakdown plan 1945 for the transfer of power in India had been proposed by Lord Wovell. The breakdown plan 1945 for the transfer of power in India has been proposed by Lord Wovell, Viceroy Lord Wovell. Moving on to the next question. At the time of which of the following events or movements Nehru admitted that never before in history had such unified sentiment been manifested by various divergent sections of the population? INA trial. So during INA trial, Nehru made this statement, never before in history had such unified sentiment been manifested by various divergent sections of the society or population. Never before in history had such unified sentiment been manifested by various divergent sections of the population. This was said in relation to INA trial, and this was said by Nehru. Moving on to the next question. INA trial actually. Which of the following movement was temple entry movement organized in 20th century? All of this, that is Vaikam Satyagraha 1924 to 25, Guruvayur Satyagraha 1931 to 33 in Malabar coast. Then comes this third, Munshiganj Kali Temple Satyagraha in Bengal. Munshiganj Kali Temple Satyagraha in Bengal 1929. Munshiganj Kali Temple Satyagraha in Bengal 1929. Guruvayur Satyagraha in Malabar coast 1931 to 33. Vaikam Satyagraha 1924 to 25. Temple entry movement organized in early 20th century. In 1940 January, in his letter to C.F. Andrews, who described Gandhi as my son but a spoiled child of the family? Subhash Chandra Bose to C.F. Andrews. So C.F. Andrews said this about Subhash Chandra Bose in 1940 in January, in his letter to C.F. Andrews, who described Gandhi as my son but a spoiled child of the family. Subhash Chandra Bose. Which of the following statements are correct about the civil disobedience movement? All of these are correct. There was a discernible absence of Hindu-Muslim unity. We cannot see much Hindu-Muslim unity as civil disobedience movement. Movement received massive business support. The movement received a massive business support. Discernible absence. Well, like Hindu-Muslim unity, that there was the absence of that. Then received massive business support. Well, that was there. Large-scale women's participation, that was also there. From September 1930 onwards, the movement began to decline. So basically, from 1930 onwards, a movement began to decline. There was a large-scale women's participation. The movement received a massive financial support, but there was hardly any Hindu-Muslim unity being portrayed there. That is to say, civil disobedience movement. Civil disobedience movement, there was discernible absence of Hindu-Muslim unity. Moving on to the next question. On the basis of which formula plan Gandhi in April 1944 talks with the Jinnah, which Jinnah refused to accept Rajaji formula? So on the basis of which formula, that is on the basis of Rajaji formula, in April 1944 proposed talk with Jinnah, which Jinnah refused to accept. Gandhi Jinnah talk, like that is to say Rajaji formula. On the basis of Rajaji formula, on the basis of which formula, Rajaji formula, plan Gandhi and Ambedkar, Jinnah decided to talk, but then talk failed. Moving on, the labor movement in India primarily owed its origin to the draft recommendation of the Washington International Labour Conference. So basically, the labor movement of Indian Parliament primarily owed its origin to the Indian labor movement. The labor movement in India primarily owes its origin to draft recommendations of the Washington International Labour Conference. The draft committee's draft recommendation of Washington International Labour Conference. The recommendations or the draft recommendations of the Washington International Labour Conference primary, like the labor movement of India primarily owed its origin to the draft recommendations of the Washington International Labour Conference. Moving on to the next question, a few more questions. 2015, Subhash Chandra Bose fought for the presidential election 1939 on the ground that he favored an aggressive policy which was opposed by Congress leader. So basically, Subhash Chandra Bose fought the presidential election 1939 on the ground that he favored aggressive policy which was opposed by Congress leaders. The lower caste tries to assert themselves by borrowing and imitating customs and manners of the upper caste. This was termed as Sanskritization by M.N. Srinivas. Sanskritization. The lower caste tried to assert themselves by borrowing and imitating customs and manners of the upper caste. So this was termed as Sanskritization by M.N. Srinivas. So basically, M.N. Srinivas termed this as a Brahmanization or Sanskritization. The lower caste tries to assert themselves by borrowing and imitating customs and manners of the upper caste. This was termed as Sanskritization by M.N. Srinivas. Moving on to the next question. Who of the following was not a member of the Congress Socialist Party, although he encouraged and blessed its formation? Nehru was not a Congress Socialist Party member. So Nehru was not a member of the Congress Socialist Party, though he kind of accepted, blessed it. He kind of gave the green signal to go ahead with it. But then who were the members of the Congress Socialist Party? Achyut Patwardhan, Jayaprakash Narayan and Acharya Narendra Deva. Acharya Narendra Deva, Jayaprakash Narayan and Achyut Patwardhan. Achyut Patwardhan, Jayaprakash Narayan, Acharya Narendra Deva. These all are members of the Congress Socialist Parties. Moving on to the next question. The Congress president who concluded negotiations with Cripps in 1942 and Wavell at the Shimla conference was Abul Kalam Azad. The Congress president who conducted negotiations with Cripps in 1942 and Wavell at Shimla conference was Abul Kalam Azad. Moving on to next. Which one of the following adumbrated principle and constitutional provision which was later incorporated in the Montagu-Chelmsford Reform, Lucknow Pact. In Montagu-Chelmsford Reform, Lucknow Pact was later. Which of the following adumbrated principle, which are the following adumbrated principles and constitutional provision which was later incorporated in the Montagu-Chelmsford Reform? Lucknow Pact, this was later incorporated into Montagu-Chelmsford Reform. In Montagu-Chelmsford Reform, Lucknow Pact was later incorporated. Then Whitley Commission was concerned with. Whitley Commission was a labor, 1929. Whitley Commission was concerned with the labor, 1929. Whitley Commission was concerned with what? With labor. Whitley Commission was concerned with labor. Moving on to the next question. Who designed the national flag of India adopted by the Constituent Assembly on July 21st, 1947? Badruddin Taibji was the one who designed this national flag of India, tricolor. Who designed the national flag of India? Badruddin Taibji was the one who designed this national flag adopted by the Constituent Assembly. The Constituent Assembly adopted this on 21st July 1947. Moving on to the next. Which of the following is correctly matched pair? Roll attacked Lord Chelmsford. Who described Bal Gangadhar Tilak as the father of India's unrest? Valentine Shirol is the one described Tilak as the father of India's unrest. Valentine Shirol. Moving on to next. Tamil journal Kudi Asaru was founded by E.V. Ramaswamy Periyar Nikar Periyar. So Kudi Asaru 1925. Kudi Asaru, this was a Tamil journal, was published by E.V. Ramaswamy Nikar Periyar from 1925 onwards. Tamil journal Kudi Asaru was founded by E.V. Ramaswamy Nikar Periyar from 1925 onwards. Moving on. All the established political parties and groups except two boycotted Salmon Commission. Which were two? Didn't boycott Salmon Commission? 4 and 2. 4 and 2. 2 and 4. So Justice Party and Punjab Unionist, they never, all of the established political party and group except two boycotted Salmon Commission, which were basically Justice Party, they never boycotted Salmon Commission. So as Punjab Unionist and Justice Party, they never boycotted Salmon Commission, but Hindu Mahasabha, Muslim League, all of them boycotted Salmon Commission. But Punjab Unionist and Justice Party, they never boycotted Salmon Commission. Moving on to the next question. Correctly matched. Which of the following is correctly matched? Foundation of Congress Socialist Party, 1934. All India Kisan Sabha, 1936. Then Foundation of Forward Bloc, 1939, I guess. And Foundation of Communist Party of India. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm not sure. Probably has to be 1925. Probably, I'm not sure. What is the name of the newspaper journal Indian Muslim League? Dawn. Indian Muslim League, that newspaper published by Indian Muslim League was Dawn, and it still runs in Pakistan. Still is a daily newspaper Pakistan. What is the name of the newspaper published by the Indian Muslim League? Indian Muslim League published a newspaper, Dawn, goes by the name Dawn, DAWN. When was the foundation of the Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry founded? FICCI. FICCI was founded 1927. J.D. Birla, someone was involved there. I'm not sure. So basically, FICCI, the Federation of Indian Chamber and Commerce and Industry. Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, FICCI, was founded in 1927. Who said this orderly discipline anarchy should go, and if as a result of this there is a complete lawlessness, I would risk it. So basically, Gandhi said that this orderly discipline anarchy should go, and if as a result there is a complete lawlessness, I would risk it. Gandhi said this about the British kind of a colonial rule. This orderly disciplined anarchy should go, and if as a result there is a complete lawlessness, I would risk it. This orderly disciplined anarchy should go, and if as a result there is a complete lawlessness, I would risk it. Who said that? Gandhi is the one who said that. Who said the Muslims were false to ask for safeguards, and Hindus were fools actually. The Muslims are fools to ask for safeguard, and the Hindus were greater fools to refuse them. Abul Kalam Azad is the one who said this, or kind of made this statement. Who said Muslims were fools to ask for safeguard, and Hindus were greater fools to refuse them. Moving on to next, the Deepavali Declaration, Lord Irwin, 1929. Deepavali Declaration. Who made Deepavali Declaration and when? And when? So Deepavali Declaration was made by Lord Irwin, 1929. Deepavali Declaration made by Lord Irwin, 1929. Moving on to next question. Who of the following capitalists served as the AICC treasurer for many years and went to jail in 1930? Jamunalal Bajaj kind of served as the AICC treasurer for many years and then went to jail in 1930. So Jamunalal Bajaj kind of a capitalist served as the AICC treasurer for many years and went to jail in 1930. Moving on to the next question. Who of the following played an important role in the signing of the Gandhi-Irwin Pact? 2 and 4. 2 and 4. That is to say, Tej Bahadur Sapra and Jankar. Tej Bahadur Sapra and Jankar were the important leader. They played an important role a pivotal role in Gandhi Arvind Pact signing. So Tej Bahadur Sapru and Jankar were the one pivotal, who are the following played an important role. So basically Tej Bahadur Sapru and Jankar played an important role in signing the Gandhi Arvind Pact. Moving on to the next question, which of the following groups did not get a separate electorate by the Act of 1935? Separate electorate, depressed class didn't get separate electorate. Which of the following group did not get separate electorate by 1935? Extended communal representation. Extended communal representation. So basically, extended communal representation. Depressed class didn't get the kind of separate electorate. Anglo-Indians, Indian Christians, Europeans, they all get like, which of the following did not get separate electorate? But Anglo-Indians, Christians, and Europeans, they all got like separate electorate. But depressed class, they never got it. They didn't got it at that point. They still don't have it, I guess. What is the chronological sequence of the following happening? Chronological, if in August of, like we know, Lucknow Pact, Jallianwala Bagh 1913, Khaira Satyagraha. We just have to see. Moving on to the next question. Arrange the event chronological. Champaran Satyagraha, launch of Khilafat movement, reunion of Congress 1916, and Nagpur session of the Congress, Champaran Satyagraha. This again has to be seen. Which newspaper journal from Maharashtra? Kranti was from Maharashtra 1927. Kranti from Maharashtra 1927. Moving on to the next question. Who of the following founded the Independent Labour Party 1936? Independent Labour Party was founded by Ambedkar. Ambedkar 1936. Independent Labour Party founded by Ambedkar 1936. Moving on to the next question. President of Indian National Congress 1925 was Sarojini Naidu. 1925 first, I guess, Indian woman president of Indian National Congress, Sarojini Naidu 1925. Then comes the first venue for the Gandhi in All India politics was first venture. The first venture of the Gandhi in All India politics was Rowlatt Satyagraha. Moving on to the next question. Bhulabhai Desai, whom of the following organized defense in the INA offences? Defense in the trial of INA offense of officers. So Bhulabhai Desai organized the defense in the INA trial of the officers. Bhulabhai Desai, defense in INA trial of the officers. Bhulabhai Desai. The Indian National Army INA came into existence 1943. Singapore. Indian National Army INA came into existence 1943. Singapore. Moving on to the next question. Inqilab Zindabad, who gave the slogan? Maulana Hasrat Mohani 1921. Maulana Hasrat Mohani, he gave the slogan Inqilab Zindabad, and then later it was kind of made famous by Bhagat Singh. Inqilab Zindabad, Hasrat Mohani 1921, he made the slogan, and then Bhagat Singh immortalized it. Who led the peasant movement in Oudh during non-cooperation movement? Baba Ramchandra. During non-cooperation movement, Baba Ramchandra led the peasant movement in Oudh. Peasant movement, Baba Ramchandra led the peasant movement in Oudh during non-cooperation movement. Moving on to the next question. Last Governor General in India, Chakrabarti Rajgopalacharya, last Governor General of India, or Indian Governor General of India, first Indian Governor General of India. What was the primary aim of the Akali movement, which arose in Punjab 1920s? To streamline the management of the Gurudwaras or the Sikh shrines. To streamline the management of Gurudwaras or the Sikh shrines. That was Akali movement, Punjab 1920. Which of the following was not included in the Nehru Committee Report 1929? Separate electorate for the Muslim was rejected. Nehru Committee Report, separate electorate for the Muslims was rejected. That was something which was not there. But then India should give a dominion status. Well, that was there. Declaration of Fundamental Rights was made. Nehru Committee Report, Declaration of Fundamental Rights was made. India should be given dominion status. That was made. And then it proposes federal structure of India. Federal structure of India was proposed. Then comes the Declaration of Fundamental Right was made. Then comes India should be given dominion status. That was also made in Nehru Committee Report of 1929. Nehru Committee Report of 1929. India should be given dominion status. Declaration of Fundamental Rights were there. It proposed a federal structure of the state. Well, that was there. But then separate electorate for the Muslims. Well, that was not there in Nehru Committee Report 1929. Moving on to the next question. When and where All India Kisan Sabha formed 1936, Lucknow, Shahajananda Saraswati. The first free university in India, completely independent of the government and receiving no grants from India, was Vishwabharati Shantiniketan 1921. Vishwabharati first university. Vishwabharati first free university in India. Vishwabharati Shantiniketan first free university in India, completely independent of the government and receiving no grants from it, was Vishwabharati University. Who did the Tribune of the Lahore refer to in its observation? If ever a man died a hero and martyr to a noble cause, that man was Jatindranath Das. So basically this, who did the Tribune of Lahore refer to? Tribune, that is, I guess, a paper, I guess. Tribune of Lahore referred to in its observation. Tribune of Lahore in its observation, they kind of forward. Who did the Tribune of Lahore refer to in its observation? If ever a man died a hero and martyr to a noble cause, the man was Jatindranath Das. Tribune of Lahore referred to Jatindranath Das as if ever a man died a hero and martyr to a noble cause, this was Jatindranath Das. Justice Party movement in Madras merged with the Self-Respect movement and Dravida Kazhagam. Self-respect movement. Justice Party movement in Madras merged with self-respect movement and Dravida Kazhagam. Dravida Kazhagam and self-respect movement. Justice Party movement in Madras merged with self-respect league and Dravida Kazhagam. Again, arranging chronological order: death of Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Nagpur Session Congress, Mopilar Rebellion, and inauguration Vishwarathi Shantiniketan. Moving few more questions. Both the transfer of the power and the partition of India was hurried through in how many days? In 72 days. The transfer of power and the partition, this happened in only 72 days was taken, and this was done in a rather quick time. The first tribal leader who was inspired by Gandhi and his ideology was Jadunang. The first tribal leader who was inspired by Gandhi and his ideology was Jadunang. The first tribal leader who was inspired by Gandhi and his ideology was Jadunang, Naga leader. Moving on to next question. Gandhi gave the title Sardar to Vallabhbhai Patel for his organization skill in Bardolai Satyagraha 1928. So Gandhi gave the title Sardar to Vallabhbhai Patel for his organizational skill in Bardolai Satyagraha 1928. Moving on to next, which are the correct pair? C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru. This was correct pairs actually. They kind of worked together to came up with Congress Khilaafat Swarajya Party. I guess yes. Who said that Gandhi's death? Who said on Gandhi's death, Tiger, the light has gone out of our lives? It's not Tiger. The light has gone out of our life. This was said by Nehru. The light has gone out of our life, and that's pretty much it for now.